Hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe, and today I'm bringing you another mock draft for our beloved, bless you boys, in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. This will be a 7-round mock, and typically, now this will be my 6th mock draft, and in just about every one, I trade down, because I feel like the Saints have an issue in this draft with adequate draft picks. These are the picks that we're working with, and I've done this simulation on the NFL mock draft database simulator. I use different simulators. I use the NFL Draft Buzz. I use the NFL Pro Football Network. And I don't use Pro Football Focus because I'm not going to subscribe to it. I frequent it and look at the rankings of players and stuff like that, but yeah, I find that the database with the option to make a trade happen works out better for me in the long run, because if I propose a trade, I want to make sure that it meets the draft pick value chart standard. But, you know, these sites are crazy. Sometimes they'll offer crazy trades that don't make any sense at all. And, you know, if I get offered a trade, I take it. So I don't use the draft pick value chart to justify what's offered to me. I just use it to justify what I'm offering. So with all that in mind, I am the type of guy that wants the Saints to trade down. I think that having 2 picks in the first 150 picks, 149 picks, just isn't good enough. The best drafts the Saints have ever had are drafts when we have multiple picks in the first 4 rounds, not just 4 straight up picks. My goal is to have at least 4 picks in the first 4 rounds. At least. And that means moving down at some point somewhere. A lot of people are saying you stick and pick at 14. Maybe you trade down at 45. That'll pick you up a couple extra picks, maybe. But I think that where the Saints are at pick 14, it's one of those spots right where you start to lose players that you have to take, and you start having options. Now, if one of these great 10 to 14 players falls to the Saints at 14, you go ahead and make the pick. If somebody's there that's just too good to pass up, and in my opinion, that's either one of the top 3 quarterbacks or one of the top 3 wide receivers, or one of the top 2 left tackles. Now, that's 8 players right there that I would definitely draft at pick 14. And then everybody else after that, it's kind of a question mark. You can go with the best edge rusher, but there are plenty of edge rushers in the draft. Now, the best consensus best 3 are all on the light side for me, so I don't really focus on defensive line in the first round all that much. I think the top 2 defensive tackles are worth taking before the top 3 edge rushers. That's just my opinion. So I'm not gung-ho about addressing defensive line that early with that pick. And yeah, you've got a slew of cornerbacks, probably 5 of them that are going to go in the first round, and perhaps all of them are still there when you're picking at 14. But I don't think outside corner is a big need for this team either. So yeah, every time I get to my pick at 14, it seems logical to trade down, because unless you're in love with one of those right tackles, you can get someone comparable throughout the first round. And maybe you're in love with somebody who's projected to go even further down than that. And so you can take a chance and trade down if offensive line is something that you're focused on. And then, linebacker, running back, all that stuff. I mean, My gig is trade down at least once from pick 14. And you can pick up a couple of extra picks in the middle rounds. That's a good move. Typically, I end up trading down more than once. Sometimes I try to find a player somewhere in the 17 to 20 range. And then if I can get another player somewhere in the 23, 24 to 27 range, I'll trade down a second time. Because I would rather have, personally, I would rather have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds than 2. And yeah, even if you get one of the best players in the draft at 14, I would rather have 4 to 6 players in the top 4 rounds than just 2. So yeah, if I had my pick of anybody in the draft, I'd go Caleb Williams. But then I'm picking one other player and I'm not picking again until the 5th round. Yeah, I don't like that. Your ultimate top rated guy could be a bust. He could be a Hall of Famer. And we've had drafts in the past where we got a Hall of Famer and everybody else ended up being just bit players, maybe a couple of starters, and that's it. I'm the kind of guy that if I can get 4 or 6 really good players in a draft, starters and major contributors, I'm good to go. Eventually, somebody may be a Hall of Famer, may not be. Maybe a couple of them are only worthy of the Pro Bowl. But I'm a numbers guy. This is the way I'm looking at it. I would rather have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds than just 2. So, okay, with all that being said, and 7 minutes into it, let's start the NFL Draft 2024 for our beloved New Orleans Saints. We're picking at 14. And when our pick comes up, we get a nice little trade offer from the Los Angeles Rams. They are picking at 19. And when pick 14 comes for the Saints, every cornerback is still there. So Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold are still there. You've got every right tackle still there. From Fuanga to Mims to Latham to Guyton, Jordan Morgan, they're all there. Both defensive tackles are still there. And so, yeah, I decided to go ahead and make the move with the Rams. They don't have a second-round pick, but they have 2 third-round picks, and they're offering me a 4th-round pick in next year's draft. So I'm going to go ahead and get a 5th-round pick from them as well, pick 155. I throw in my 5th-round pick, 175. And it's a little rich for them. I'm trying to move up in the 5th round. Their original offer was the 2 3s and a 4 next year. So I'm trying to move up from 175 to 155. And that is a little rich for them, so I throw in a 6th-round pick to make it happen. It becomes a little rich for me, so they throw in this bottom-of-the-barrel 7th round, 254, and the deal happens. So the Saints are going to pick up 3 extra picks, one of them in next year's draft, but I keep this in mind, that 4th-round pick next year, the extra 4th, that becomes trade bait for me all of a sudden. At least now, if I trade a 4th-round pick next year, I know I'm still going to have a 4th-round pick. So all this works good for me. I get 2 picks in the 3rd round. I get a 4th-round pick to play with next year. I move up a little in the 5th round, and I give them a 6. They give me a 7. I like it. This works out good for me, especially since all those right tackles are still on the board. This is the kind of move I want the Saints to make. We do the deal. These are our new picks. And with pick 14, the Rams selected cornerback Quinyon Mitchell. All right, so now we wait until pick 19. Pick 19 comes up, and lo and behold, Amarius Mims is still on the board. Tyler Guyton's still on the board. Jordan Morgan is still on the board. You've got Kingsley Suamataia is still on the board. Kieran Abengaji, however you say his name, he's still on the board. Still got a couple of really good guards on the board. A couple of cornerbacks are still there too. So I get a phone call from the Baltimore Ravens. They want to move to pick 19. And Brian Thomas Jr. is still on the board, by the way. Now, dropping from pick 19 to pick 30, where the Ravens are picking, is a pretty big drop. And so I'm not making this move without a second-round pick. Baltimore picks at the bottom of the second round, but they are going to give me a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. So I have to throw in a sixth-round pick to make the deal happen. The second-round pick and the fourth-round pick was just a little too rich for Baltimore. I didn't want another fifth-round pick. I want a fourth-round pick. So I'm giving them a sixth-round pick, and this makes the deal happen. So now, these are our picks. And I am praying that at pick 30, one of those tackles are still going to be on the board. Now, this is the risk for making these moves. But the reward is now our draft picks are a first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, and a fourth-round pick. So that's 6 picks in the first 4 rounds. This is what I'm talking about. I would rather have these draft picks than pick 14 and pick 45, and then you don't pick again until pick 150. So I would much rather have 6 players than 2. I don't care how good the player can be at pick 14. I'm going to get somebody that's going to start for this team at pick 30. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And when pick 30 comes up, the player I want is there. I don't even think about it. I don't even question it. With pick 30 in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select offensive tackle Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. So, Tyler Guyton is a right tackle. I think he is certainly athletic enough and has the build to move to left tackle. And as a matter of fact, I have more confidence in moving Guyton to left tackle than I do moving Amarius Mims to left tackle. I have more confidence in Guyton being able to pull it off than even Fuanga moving to left tackle. And J.C. Latham, it's another one. He's a right tackle. I have questions about whether he can successfully play on the left side. But I don't have those questions about Guyton. Maybe I shouldn't have those questions about Mims or Latham. But I think when you're taking a chance and asking the guy to move from one side to the other, then all of a sudden those options, they become multiple options. I can wait and just pick a pure left tackle, or I can take a chance. And if I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to take a chance with a pick late in the first round. So that's what I do, and I think this works out great for the Saints. We have Tyler Guyton. We have an offensive tackle, regardless of whether Penning's going to play on the left side for us, Ramczyk on the right side. I think with Tyler Guyton, you've got a piece now. You've got a guy that can come in and start wherever the failings may be. And, of course, I'm not done with offensive line. You know me. If you've been following me in this channel, I'm a big offensive line and trenches guy. So that's our first round pick, Tyler Guyton. So day 1 ends, and we have an offensive tackle and a ton of draft picks to come on day 2. It looks like we're going to have 4 picks on day 2 if we don't make any more moves. So the second day starts, round 2 begins. We're picking at 45, and when our pick comes up, the New York Giants want it, and they're picking at 47. I had nothing to do with this trade offer. The Giants offered it to me. They are willing to move up 2 spots. They want us to move back 2 spots, and they're going to give us a 4th round pick. I negotiate to get a better fourth round pick. They had a couple of them. So I negotiate to get pick 107 in the fourth round. That's going to cost me a fifth round pick if I want to do that. And when I offer them the fifth round pick, pick 170 overall, that becomes a little too rich for me. So then they throw in the sixth round pick, pick 183. That all of a sudden becomes too rich for them. And basically it's because they're limited in their draft picks. So I throw in my 2 seventh round picks, which gives them 2 extra players, And so they go ahead and they're willing to make this deal. So they're going to get 1 extra pick in the deal. So they move up 2 spots, give me a 4th rounder. I give them a 5th rounder. They give me a 6th rounder. I give them 2 7th rounders. It works out great. I'm only moving back 2 spots. And I have a position identified, and there's 2 players there that I like. So this works for me. I get a 4th round pick. Basically is why I'm making this move, to get that pick in the 4th round. And with pick 45, the Giants end up taking wide receiver Roman Wilson. They get their man. And 2 picks later, the guy I really wanted is still on the board. So with pick 47 in the 2nd round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select defensive tackle Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. He is going to play the 5 tech next to Brian Bresee. He's a decent-sized guy, 300 pounds. He's going to be able to hold up very good against the run, one of the best graded-out run-stopping defensive tackles in the draft. And he is mobile enough to get after the quarterback. I consider Jenkins a 3-down player, unlike T'Vondre Sweat, who I think would probably have to come off the field a heck of a lot more. And yeah, I'm very comfortable with Jenkins. I was also considering Ororo, but Jenkins is my man with pick 47. And now we have addressed the offensive line and the defensive line. And we still have another 2nd round pick to go. Pick 62. That's the pick we got from Baltimore. Now, this is where it gets crazy, because I'm making my pick at 62, but San Francisco picks at 63, and they offer me this insane trade. Now, this site, NFL Mock Draft Database, tends to screw up a lot when it comes to the trade offers. Sometimes you will offer them way more than enough, and it tells you, no, it's not good enough. Sometimes they offer you way too much, and you know just by looking at it. I'm only moving down 1 spot. This kind of a move should cost maybe a late 4th, 5th round pick in the 2nd round, but the 49ers are offering to swap seconds, moving down 1 pick. They're going to give me their 3rd round pick, 94, their 4th round pick, 132, their 6th round pick, 176, and a 4th round pick next year. Now, like I said, I can pull out the draft value chart and tell you this is way too much. But if a team calls you and offers it, then it's on you whether you take it or not. I can sit here and try to be fair. This is all fantasy, okay? Would you make your pick at 62, or would you take this deal if it's offered to you? I don't care how crazy the person offering the offer is. I don't care how crazy the site is for doing this, or how crazy the 49ers would be for wanting to do this. I take the deal. This is going to give me 2 extra 4th round picks next year. And yeah, I'm getting a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick. Of course I'm going to take it. San Francisco moved up that 1 spot, and they grabbed the player that I was eyeballing. Maybe they knew something I didn't know. Maybe they knew I was going to take them. But San Francisco moves up the 1 little spot and gets offensive guard Christian Haynes. And yeah, at the bottom of the second round, he's an incredible pick, in my opinion, for the Saints. But we miss out on him, and we pick up an extra third and another extra fourth. So now our draft picks are 3 third-round picks, 3 fourth-round picks, 3 fifth-round picks, 2 sixth-round picks, and we have those 2 extra fourth-round picks next year to go along with our original fourth-round pick. Okay, I know it's crazy, but when you do these simulators, it's up to you whether you want to accept the trade that's offered to you or not. I don't care how crazy it is. I've had trade offers where someone wants my third round pick and they're offering me a first rounder and a second rounder next year. And if somebody does that, it's up to you. I mean, in real life, hell yeah, you take it. In these simulations, I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. So I made the move. And 1 pick later, after my boy Christian Haynes goes off the board, I decide to take a chance on a player who I have a first-round grade on, but because of injury concerns, slips to the very bottom of the second round. So I'm taking him. With pick 63 in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select linebacker Peyton Wilson out of North Carolina State. I like Peyton Wilson. I think he's the best linebacker in the class. And I believe he was able to play his last 2 seasons of college with no injuries. But the concern is still there. And I've got all these picks to play with, and I'm not concerned at all. I'm going to go ahead and grab Peyton Wilson. And that makes 3 picks in the first 2 rounds for us. Tyler Guyton, Chris Jenkins, Peyton Wilson. I am still interested in edge rusher. I am still interested in wide receiver, of course. And yeah, I can take some more pieces on the offensive line as well. I've got a lot of parts to play with now, and I'm going to try to get to the top of the third round. These 3 third-round picks we have are at the bottom of the third round, and I know I can do some kind of maneuvering and get up. So I call Arizona, who has the 66th overall pick, the very top of the third round. And I'm offering them a king's ransom, and they're going to take it. I'm going to swap thirds with them. So basically, I'm moving up 33 spots from pick 99 to pick 66. I offer them a bottom-of-the-barrel fourth-round pick, pick 132. I also offer them a fourth-round pick next year. Like I said, I have 3 of them. So I offer them one of them. And I also have to throw in a fifth-round pick and a sixth-round pick. Fifth round pick 150, sixth round pick 183. Arizona has 2 other third round picks besides 66. I think they have 71 and 70 something. So they have 3 third round picks this year. And to make this move, to give up their best one, but to secure 4 extra picks, yeah, they go ahead and make the deal. Arizona's looking good here. They still have 2 very high third-round picks. They still have a third-round pick. Now they have a fourth-round pick next year, a fourth-round pick, extra fourth-round pick this year, and an extra fifth and an extra sixth. It's a huge move for the Saints to move up 33 spots. I am glad. I'm happy I did it. I had the extra picks. The move is made, and now the Saints are back on the clock. Just 3 picks after we picked Peyton Wilson. And now our draft board looks like this. Still have 3 third-round picks. Now we have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and a sixth. And remember, we still got 2 fourth-round picks next year. So, with pick 66 in the 2024 NFL Draft in round 3, yeah, I did it again. The Saints select wide receiver Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. Now, I do multiple mock drafts throughout the weeks. And when I decide to sit down and document one for this channel, it seems like I get in a situation where I draft Corley. I think I've drafted him in 3 or 4 of these mocks. And I'm here to tell you, I don't do this every time. I haven't drafted Malachi Corley in like the last 10 mocks that I've done. But I decided to document this one. And then here I am drafting him again. Well, that's just the way it goes. He ends up being the 4th player we draft. And now we have a draft. We have addressed offensive tackle, defensive tackle, linebacker, and now wide receiver. Corley's a special player. Like I said, he can line up in this Kubiak system and what I envision in multiple positions, and Corley's going to be a good player. But I still think the Saints need a big body at wide receiver, and I have a bunch of them targeted in the 5th round or later who can provide that big body that I'm looking for. If A.T. Perry's not going to be the guy, Cedric Wilson's, I think, 6'1", 6'2", so he's not small. But if I'm going to address another big body guy, I've got my eye on someone in the 5th round, a couple of players. So I go ahead and take the special player in Corley. All right, I stick and pick with my next 2 third-round picks. So with pick 83 in the 2024 NFL Draft in round 3, the New Orleans Saints select defensive end Brandon Dorlus out of Oregon. He's one of my favorite players. He's always here in the 3rd round. He's a big body type that I want to put on the defensive line. He can play anywhere along the defensive line, but he can give you some pass rush from the defensive end, and he can give you the size to hold up on the line in case Cam Jordan retires sooner than later. So I'm happy that I'm able to address edge rusher with a big body that's going to play defensive end. And now I've addressed the defensive line twice. I'm excited about this. And then with pick 94 in the 3rd round, I am super excited because there is an offensive lineman there that I really want, and I'm shocked that he's still here. But with pick 94 in the 3rd round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Dominique Puni out of Kansas, the tackle/guard. Now, we've addressed tackle already with Tyler Guyton. Now I'm excited about Dominique Puni. I have a 2nd-round grade on him, late 2nd-round grade, and I'm getting him at the bottom of the 3rd round, and he can play tackle. So he can also play guard, and I'm excited about this. Puni's either going to be our left guard or he's going to be our right tackle or our left tackle. We have options here, though. I like it. Puni's a guy that I didn't expect to still be here in the 3rd round. I've seen him mocked to the Saints with pick 45. So, and I think Puni's a good player. I think he's going to fit into our scheme really well. And that versatility is something that is a plus. Now, to me, it's high value, extremely high value. And that's what I'm trying to go with here. Peyton Wilson at the bottom of the 2nd round. I have a 1st-round grade on him, so that's high value. And then now you get Dominique Puni at the bottom of the 3rd round, who I have a 2nd-round grade on, so that's high value as well. All right, really excited. And now we are picking at pick 107 in the 4th round, and we get a phone call from the Los Angeles Chargers. They want pick 107, and they have pick 110. So they only want to move up 3 spots. And I'm looking at the board, and there's lots of players that I like here. I mean, I already have another 4th-round pick coming up. So I'll move back 3 spots to pick 110. Because the Chargers are giving me a 5th-round pick this year, pick 140, and they're also giving me a 5th-round pick in next year's draft. And that's a nice haul for the Saints to just move back 3 spots. So I take that extra 5th-round pick, and I take that 5th-round pick in next year's draft. to move back 3 spots. And whenever pick 110, and the Chargers, I didn't write down who they got with pick 107. But with pick 110 in the 2024 NFL Draft in the 4th round, the New Orleans Saints select one of my favorite players, bar none, by far, too good to pass up in the 4th round, offensive tackle Christian Jones out of Texas. I love this guy. Lots of channels that do these mock drafts, they lean towards their favorites a lot, and they end up repeating and drafting players that they like. I may do another video before the draft, and I'll just focus on the depth of each position in the draft and which rounds you could address these positions at. I mean, everything changes, but there are nuances in every draft simulation that are the same. So I may do a video addressing that because, yeah, I do draft a lot of the same players. Oh, Ross Jackson does it too on Locked On Saints, and yeah, we see this a lot. Christian Jones, to me, is a bona fide starting left tackle. So now you've got Guyton, now you've got Puny, and now you've got Christian Jones. And hey, in my world, Christian Jones starts at left tackle, Dominique Puny starts at left guard, Tyler Guyton starts at right tackle, and you don't have to worry about Penning or Ramczyk or Hurst. You got your replacements now. I love it. I love it. In real life, I would take Christian Jones in the 3rd round. There's no doubt about it. So I'm stoked with this, and we have pick 113, which is just 3 picks later. And I'm looking at tight end in the 4th round. And I'm hot and cold about a lot of them. There's a lot of them I really like, and there's things about all of them that I don't like. But there's one guy that I think is a surefire thing, a guy whose floor is high enough where I'm not scared to take him. There's a lot of guys that may have a higher ceiling. There's a lot of guys that could bust on you too. But I think this guy's a sure bet. So we pick 113 in the 4th round of the 2024 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select tight end Cade Stover out of Ohio State. He is the guy whose floor is higher than everyone else's. When you look at tight end, there's a lot of them that don't project to be very good run blockers. So I'm interested in getting a complete guy. And Ben Sinnott and Theo Johnson are 2 guys that I think are capable of run blocking and performing well in the pass. But I have questions about their ability to do both of them very well, but I don't have those questions about Stover. Stover grades out as a much better run blocker than all of them. He doesn't win all the time. It's not like I would ask Stover to block one-on-one a defensive end. Not a lot of tight ends can do that coming right out of college. But his technique is so that if I did ask him to do it, I bet my quarterback would still have an extra second or two. Okay, I'm not sure about Theo Johnson and Ben Sinnott when it comes to run blocking. A lot of them have to get on the move and get to the second level and stuff like that. I'm a little more confident in Stover's ability to be an inline blocker. But he does everything very well. Yeah, I think Stover's a plug-and-play guy right out of the gate. So he was my choice at tight end, and that was tough because Ben Sinnott was still there and Theo Johnson. But I guess if I had my choice of those 3, I would go with Cade Stover first. All right, so that's the 4th round pick, and now the 5th round starts. And yeah, I'm not making any more trades. I'm going to go ahead and pick where we're at. We've got 3 5th-round picks and a 6th-round pick. We've still got an extra 4th-round pick and an extra 5th-round pick next year. But I'm not going to package anything else and move up. So we're going to stick and pick right where we're at. And I am going to focus on secondary here if I can. And when our first fifth round pick comes up, pick 140, I'm going to go with best available player. And there's a guy there who I have a third round grade on, and so I'm going to go ahead and take him. With pick 140 in the fifth round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select cornerback Josh Newton out of TCU. He's on the smaller side as far as size goes for the Saints. But yeah, I have a third round grade on him, and I think he's too good of a prospect to pass up. He could very well start at nickel for you. I think he would do very well at nickel, but I also think he's talented enough where he can give you reps on the outside. And if he's a third round graded guy and you're worried about his size, I think in the fifth round, yeah, too good to pass up. I like this pick. I wanted a secondary piece. I'm still looking at safety. But man, my favorite boy, Cole Bishop's gone. He was drafted in the fourth round. So we still have a few fifth round picks to go, though. And here's another favorite of mine. This is a guy that even though I tell myself we don't have to address running back in the draft, the guy's talent just blows me away. And if he's there in the fifth round, I'm the idiot that's going to draft him, even though I know we can get a good player, undrafted. Trust the scouting team and just don't spend one of these picks. Don't waste one of these picks on a running back. Well, yeah, we're going to end up with 12 picks when it's all said and done. And if you have more than 10 picks, then yeah, go ahead and take a chance. Especially on this stud. With pick 155 in the fifth round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Isaac Guerendo out of Louisville. My God, just the specimen. Okay, he's just 6'1", 225, runs a 4.33. The speed is evident on the tape, and you want an outside zone guy. He is, in my opinion, the best outside zone guy. He's the guy that when he makes that cut and goes, he can get to that speed so fast. Yeah, this is a player I'm super excited about the Saints getting in the fifth round. I keep doing it. I keep drafting him, but he's going to be a New Orleans Saint. And we can just tell Jamal Williams, it was nice knowing you, and let's move on with our lives. All right, we have one more fifth round pick, and yeah, safety is the way I'm going at this point. There's a couple of them there. There's a couple of them big-bodied guys that I like. But I'm going to take a chance and go ahead and get a guy that I know can play in the box, that I project to be a good nickelback. And even though we just got Josh Newton, who may end up relegated to nickel on this team, I'm going to go young with safety for another nickel guy. With pick 168 in the fifth round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyke Smith, safety/corner out of Georgia. Everyone projects him to be a safety. I project him to be a nickel corner. So with Tyke Smith, in my opinion, you get youth at safety, much needed youth. You also get a guy that can play on the field. He can get on the field early for you. Does he work into those dime packages? Maybe, whenever he's asked to play a lot around the line of scrimmage. Maybe so. Cole Bishop is that guy at safety that I really want because I know he can cover the tight ends well. But I have faith in Tyke's ability to be a nickelback. And if Josh Newton or Tyke Smith turn out to be good nickelbacks, then we've made good moves here. Plus, provided needed depth in the secondary. And with our last pick, the pick in the sixth round, pick 176, I'm going to stay true to my wide receiver instinct of wanting a big guy. And in the sixth round, you have a couple of choices. There's Marcus Rosemy St. Jack, or Jack Saint. That's a big guy who can run block out of Georgia. He has injury concerns, though. And you've also got Cornelius out of Michigan. That's an option here. But I'm going to go ahead and with the 176 pick in the 6th round, I'm going to draft the small school guy again, Ryan Flournoy, Southeast Missouri State. I love the ceiling for this guy. The potential is great. He did so well at the scouting combine. Sorry about that. So, yeah, Ryan Flournoy. The combine was amazing. The small school thing is going to have him getting drafted late. And yeah, he's a go-to guy for me for the Saints in the 5th or 6th round. You're needing a big-bodied guy who's got the relative athletic score that the Saints love. And yeah, Ryan Flournoy is a guy for me. So that's your final tally right there. We end up with 12 picks plus we have an extra 4th rounder and an extra 5th rounder next year when it's all said and done. Not a bad haul for our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold. And here's the big list, and let's talk about them. I address offensive line with 3 players. Once again, it is a thing that I do. I try to address the defensive line twice and the offensive line twice. And if I can get 3 players on either side, I do. And in this case, I only get 2 for the defensive line, but I get 3 for the offensive line. The trenches are the way to go for me. So Tyler Guyton, with your 1st round pick, I think he's going to start at right tackle. Ryan Ramczyk can retire, and hopefully he can walk for the rest of his life. Tyler Guyton's going to be our starting right tackle. We got Dominique Puny, who could start at left tackle or right tackle, but we're going to plug him in at left guard, and we're going to make James Hurst our 6th guy, our backup guy, and our swing guy. So Dominique Puny could be the swing guy, but no, James Hurst is going to be the swing guy who's going to be making that veteran minimum this year to be our backup. And we're going to have a nice piece with Dominique Puny starting at left guard. And we'll see where Nick Saldiveri is. Nick Saldiveri was a 4th round pick last year. We're pretty high on him. We think he can be a good backup guard, backup center. Maybe he's good enough to start. Well, he's going to have to beat out Dominique Puny now if he wants to start at left guard. And yeah, I would have said Saldiveri at left guard, put Puny at right tackle or left tackle, but Christian Jones is still there in the 4th round, and I grab him, and that's going to be my left tackle. And if Trevor Penning can beat out Christian Jones or Tyler Guyton for that left tackle spot, go right ahead, but I don't think he will. And if he does, that's great. But for right now, I fear our starting offensive line. I fear it. When I think of Trevor Penning, James Hurst, and Ryan Ramczyk, I think of this guy's probably not going to be good enough, this guy definitely isn't good enough, and this guy might retire. So now you can go with Penning, Hurst, and Ramczyk, or you can go with Christian Jones, Dominique Puny, Tyler Guyton. I'm glad I did it. On the defensive line, yeah, we need help. We need edge rusher and defensive end and defensive tackle. We need to get better at stopping the run. Everyone wants a bona fide, solid pass rusher. I think if we stop the run, our secondary is pretty good. So I'm more concerned with stopping the run. So getting Chris Jenkins in the 2nd round at defensive tackle is a great play for me. I think it's something the Saints should do. T'Vondre Sweat, or maybe in the 4th round, McKinley Jackson would be good pieces to play next to Brissy on the defensive line. But I worry about their large size and that you might not get a lot of snaps from them. I think Chris Jenkins is a every down player. And his grade against the run is so good. Yeah, that's something I think we desperately need. So you get Chris Jenkins at defensive tackle, and then in the 3rd round, you end up addressing defensive end anyway with Brandon Dorlus, who I think can kick inside, especially on passing downs. But I think he can provide a pass rush from the edge on third down. So now you have Brandon Dorlus, who can start. You've got Chase Young, who can start at defensive end. Dorlus might be a little bit bigger than Young. And so now, you know, in my opinion, this takes care of the Peyton Turner question. When I look at Peyton Turner, I look at a guy that is going to be gone after next year. And if he is on the roster this year, he's probably going to miss most of the games. That's just what we have to expect from Turner. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints don't try to trade Turner during the draft. I bet Sean Payton would give a 4th round pick for Peyton Turner to have the rights to have him. You know, something like that. You never know. I haven't done it in these simulators because I think I could probably get a 3rd round pick for Peyton Turner, maybe even a 2nd round pick if I tried to do it in the simulator. And we all know that's definitely not reality. All of this is fantasy anyway, but in this fantasy of mine, we get Chris Jenkins and we get Brandon Dorlus. So we have 2 guys that can play all 3 downs on the defensive line and guys that can play in multiple positions. Chris Jenkins can play both defensive tackle positions. And yeah, Dorlus can play all along the line as well. Dominique Puny, man. What a pick in the 3rd round. A 2nd round grade. Okay, so we end up drafting 2 wide receivers. We get the playmaker in Malachi Corley, who projects to be a really good piece in a Shanahan-Kubiak style offense. And then we get the big body in Ryan Flournoy with the huge upside in the 6th round. We get the running back in Isaac Girindo again. I think the ability there is just too good. I mean, you know, the Saints are the type to do that. They focus on relative athletic score and the potential. Yeah, I don't mind that kind of stuff, especially if the guy's a stud. If you're looking at him and you know he's a stud. But it's when you do that in the 1st round, 2nd round, it gets a little scary. Tyler Guyton kind of falls into that with our 1st round pick because there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of athleticism there. And he was a really good college player. But yeah, I'm thinking because he's so athletic, I project him to bounce to the left side if I need him to. So there's a bit of a question there. And then the linebacker, Peyton Wilson, the same thing. Injury concern, yeah, but you're getting him at the bottom of the 2nd round, and I have a true 1st round grade on him. Bottom of the 1st round kind of grade. So yeah, taking a chance on Wilson, taking a chance on Guyton. Those chances are great, but they're not as great as taking a chance on somebody like Marcus Davenport or Peyton Turner, a small school guy, and you're getting them that early. But Peyton Wilson has the film. Just watch the film. He won both the linebacker awards this past year. He's the best linebacker in the class, and we have 12 picks. So yeah, Peyton Wilson's a bit of a risk. But yeah, taking a guy like Isaac Girindo in the 5th round, to me, that's not a risk at all. The guy is a stud. Taking him in the 3rd round would be a risk. But I like the pick of Girindo in the 5th round. We get a great tight end, in my opinion, in Cade Stover, and there's really 3 or 4 of them that I focus on in this draft. I want a complete tight end. He's definitely one of them. Like I say, his floor is higher than most, so he's a safe pick in the 4th round for me. And we address the secondary twice. We get Josh Newton at cornerback in the 5th round. I had a 3rd round grade on him, so that is a steal. And then we get Tyke Smith at safety, adding youth to safety and also a potential nickelback. Something the Saints need. So there you go, guys. Another mock draft. We got 12 players overall, 3 for the offensive line, 2 for the defensive line, a couple of wide receivers, a tight end, a running back, a couple of secondary pieces. So that's it. Don't know if I'm going to do another mock before the draft, but I'll try to do a video breaking down, what I think is best for the Saints. And if you guys have watched my mock drafts, you see what I like to do. I like to trade down in the first round a couple of times. I like to pick up multiple picks in the mid rounds. And I would much rather have 6 players taken in the first 4 rounds instead of 2. I don't care how good the player is at pick 14. And in this case, we get 8 players in the first 4 rounds when it's all said and done. 8 players instead of 2. And I like that. Yeah, maybe you get Talisay Fuanga with the 14th overall pick. Maybe that happens for you. And maybe Fuanga ends up an all-pro. I think Tyler Guyton has a chance of being an all-pro. I think Tyler Guyton has a chance of being a very good starting offensive lineman for you. And instead of getting 2 pieces, you get 8. I bet somebody in those top 8 are going to be a pretty good player. It's just the way I feel. It's a numbers game. Would you rather have a pick at 14, a pick at 45, and that's it for the first 4 rounds? Or would you rather have 8 picks in the first 4 rounds? I'll take the 8 picks every time. All right, there you go. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos about the Saints. I'm Joe, and I'll talk to you later. Leave your comments. And who dat?